So last night, I boot up Mario Kart World for the first time in over 2.5 weeks because I've been done with this game. I was so upset with the update that actually ruined the experience for most people, and you were not allowed to play on 3-lap tracks anymore because the random function would no longer give you that. It would give you another intermission. And so people were very upset by that. I was very upset by that, and it really resonated with so many people, the videos that I made about these updates, about the frustrations that everyone was having with this game, and how much fun it is to play, and how much we just want to play 3 laps, because that's the Mario Kart experience in a nutshell. That is what we have grown up playing. That is what we're used to. And it's not wrong to change up the formula a little bit, but to force that formula on top of us when it's very clearly the minority of people's favorite way to play the game, it's just despicable, and I cannot believe Nintendo went out of their way to screw us over like that. But now, my friends, as I go to boot up my game last night, I noticed something a little bit different. I notice a couple more 3-lap tracks than normal, and I played 13 matches in a row. Of those 13, I was able to get 4 3-lap tracks. And that is not at all common for the new Mario Kart World experience. Normally, you'd be lucky to get 1 or 2. I was able to get 4, and it came up 5 different times. So 5 out of 13 really is not that bad in terms of options. And the last time I played this game was pretty much when they did that new update. I played it for a very long time. I have over 50 hours in this game because I loved it so much before the update. And the update happened the exact night that I sunk a ton of hours into it. And I realized, oh no, they did something. And I looked it up and there was the update. And now the same thing kind of happened where I noticed something a little bit different and I look it up and boom, there's an update because I noticed they updated it and I looked on the patch notes and I see at the very bottom of the updates, they increased the amount of times you will get quote unquote 3-lap courses in an online versus capacity. This update is interesting to me because at first I read this and I saw that and I was playing and noticed it and I was so happy. And then I kind of came back down from Cloud 9 because, sure, they updated the game to respond to this outcry, to respond to the haters and the people who were just dogging on Nintendo and people who were saying, oh, you pay $80 for this, I don't even feel bad for you, which is incredibly ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, not anyone could have possibly anticipated this is what Nintendo would have done with this game, and still the game is phenomenal. It's just that we can't play it the way that we would like to play it. And sure, I would love to play this game in a better capacity, but that's just not where we're at right now, and so it's very frustrating for me to see people act like this is vindicating for them and this is proof that Nintendo is a horrible company, because what other types of companies are going to make a mistake like that and then go out of their way to fix it in the next update? Well, that's what they did, right? They went out of their way to screw us over, and then they went out of their way to try and appease us, if you will. But this feels a little weird, and I'm not sure exactly where I stand on it because they're not fixing the issue here. They're making it just slightly better. You're still going to be playing intermissions the majority of the time, but you will be getting 3-lap courses much more often than you would prior to this second update. And they added a whole bunch of fixes and updates to this game. I mean, one of the biggest updates that I truly love is that when you play online and you go into the waiting room right before you get into a lobby, it will show you at the bottom of the screen the actual amount of time you have left from that race before you can get in on it. And that is so much better than it was before, because sometimes you would jump in and boom, you'd just be in a lobby, and then other times you would wait forever and you would never understand why it was taking so long, but it was because other people were in a different race. They added a mushroom only mode for versus mode. They added all kinds of different features that are really honestly making the game better. It's proof that they are not going to just drop this like they kind of did with 8 Deluxe at the beginning of the Switch's life cycle, and once that game kept selling and selling, by 2021 they realized they would be stupid not to add more content, and so they did add more content with the Booster Course Pass. And I think with Mario Kart World, they realized the game would probably be a very similar type of scenario for the Switch 2. It will continue to sell for this console's entire lifespan because Mario Kart is just that important for Nintendo, and so they want to continue to update it and enhance the experience for the users. They also made it to where your trick boost is much more powerful, and I saw a video that is basically saying that this is going to help a lot of people with the world records, and it's going to absolutely shatter so many records now, because when you would trick boost off of an incline before, when you would land, sometimes that boost wouldn't take effect immediately because there would be some sort of animation or some sort of physics thing going on to where once you hit the ground, it took a half a second extra longer longer for that boost to fully take effect, but now that half second is gone and you're able to just boost forward, and it is much more fun. And you will really notice it on Wario Stadium. That is where a lot of those trick boosts and inclines are, and you go a lot faster on that track now. So overall, I think this update is really, really good. On paper, it's amazing because they did all those bug fixes, then they added a ton of updates to enhance the user experience, but yet, this 3-lap track thing is still a problem, and I don't know where I sit on it, because in one way, it could be seen as yet another slap in the face, because Nintendo is changing it in response to this outburst. I promise you, if we had never ever said anything about this, if no one had backlash towards them at all, if the company did not receive any of that hate, this would not have happened. This just simply wouldn't have happened. They would have just kept the update how it was. So in a way, we did change their mind, but it didn't go back to what it was, and they didn't actually provide us more options. All they did was increase the chance by maybe 15 to 20% that you will get a 3-lap track to make it a little bit more balanced. Because before, it was pretty much just exclusively intermissions, and every now and then, like once in every 15 matches maybe, you would get a 3-lap track coming up on the map, and even then, it wasn't guaranteed that you would get that, because one person of the 24 racers would always pick an intermission, and maybe the 23 others picked the 3-lap track, and yet it still lands on that one person who picked an intermission. Now, of the tracks that I played, I did random for most of them, except for the ones in which the 3-lap tracks occurred more often, and I think that's what this update fixes. I think the update only makes it to where when you're on the map there, and it has another selection of 2 intermissions and then 1 3rd-lap track from another part of the map, I think that is what it's increasing, the amount of times that that occurs, not necessarily the random actually letting you get those 3-lap tracks again. I don't think that has increased at all, but I could be wrong, because when I did do those randoms, I did it like 4 or 5 different times, and I was able to get a 3-lap track twice out of that, but never more than that. And other people were able to do that as well, and I saw a little bit of a difference, but not much. It would still be randomized and then give you an intermission when you were just looking for a 3-lap track. And it's so odd to me that random does that, because when you select random in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or any other game ever in which you are selecting random, it should never randomly select one of the options on the screen. It should select something different. It should be truly random amongst all of the courses. But yet, the update in the past made it to where the random only just gives you another option in between the ones that are already there. So you're not actually getting a new option, you're not actually getting a random selection, you're just getting randomized in between the 3 options that they already gave you. It feels like a slap in the face in a way, because they didn't fix anything. They didn't really do anything other than increase the chance of a 3-lap track by a little bit. And that will enhance the user experience, and as I was playing, I saw more and more good players coming back. Because before this update, I was able to get about 8,800 VR, and that was about as high as I was able to go. But once all of the updates hit and the good players decided to stop playing this way and went to Discord and looked for other 3-lap track methods, they stopped playing online, and that meant casual players came on and people with lower VR rankings came on. And if you play this game at all, you know how brutal this system is. Because if I get 5th place and there are 15 people in this lobby and all of those people have 7,000, 6,000 VR, my 5th place could very well take off 30 points. And if I get like a last place Mario Kart instance where I just get wrecked and it's not in my control at all, I'm losing about 80 to 90. And that is ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. And I'm stuck at about 80,000, 300, 400, something like that, and I can never get back up. But now the better players are here, they're checking it out, and I was able to have so much more fun, even with the intermissions, just because the good players were back and the VR was much more balanced. So in a way, this does actually help the game, because yes, you are getting 3-lap tracks more often, just not as often as you might expect. And it's brought some of the better players back online, and there's going to be more people testing it, and then there's going to be another conclusion that these good players come to, that the core audience comes to, and whatever that conclusion is what will result in the online scape moving forward. And I just don't know if it's going to be enough. I don't think it's enough for people to come back to this game, for the online experience to become what it used to be, because what it used to be was so much fun. It was the best Mario Kart experience I think I have had in a very long time, because sure, it was very frustrating and I loved Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I played 8 Deluxe almost every day for years and years, and I played it every day before Mario Kart World. I loved 8 Deluxe, and whenever I had a chance to play a game, that was the game I played, and that online online system was balanced, and it made so much more sense. And I was so incredibly hyped for Mario Kart World, knowing how much I enjoyed 8 Deluxe, and the movement was so much different in this game, and I knew the skill ceiling was higher than ever. I just had to get better at the game. And as I started to get better and better, I started to have so much more fun. And 8,000 to 800 to 8,900, I got so high up, and my goal was to get to 9,000. And I knew as soon as that update hit, it would be almost impossible for me to enjoy it in the same way, for me to remember how to play all these tracks the way I should, because when you finally do get a 3-lap track in this new online scape of intermissions 90% of the time, you forget how to play the actual track itself. Because I'm motivated to play this game, and I'm motivated to play it online and get better at it, but I'm not motivated enough, nor do I have the time, nor do most people, to just play time trials over and over again, or to play it with CPUs. That's not fun to me. I want to play it online with other people, and yet I can't get better at those tracks and raise my skill ceiling until I am able to play on 3-lap tracks much more. And that is why people have gone to Discord. That's why they have gone to the Mario Kart World Discord server, and people are now able to play in those lobbies. But there's a big flaw with that I just don't find to be as enjoyable as online, because in those lobbies, you don't have any VR. You're not raising or lowering anything. The only thing you're getting is just the 3-lap track experience. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, that VR keeps me going. I want to raise that as high as I possibly can because it is fun. It is fun to see tangible results. And if I'm just playing over and over again and I'm not getting anything, and I understand these numbers are arbitrary, they don't get me anything. I don't get any in-game rewards. I don't get any out-of-game rewards. I don't get anything other than the validation of seeing that number rise. But it is so important to me personally, and for a lot of people, it is good motivation to continue to try and play this game. And so now we're just gonna have to wait and see, because the update happened and they increased the amount of times you can get a 3-lap course, and yet people are still going to be frustrated with this because it's not quite the fix that we were hoping for, and Nintendo still needs to just go out of their way to develop an option. Develop a mode in which you can play intermissions only, or 3-lap tracks only, or mix them up in a balanced 50-50 way. Do that, Nintendo. Why are you just making it to where we have to play the way you decide every single time? Because this is an amazing fix. I'm glad they're going out of their way to increase the odds of 3-lap courses in response to us, in response to the backlash. That is what they're doing. They're listening, and other companies don't listen. Nintendo listens. This is why they're the best gaming company, period. Because they listen to their fans, and they truly care about us, and they care about their games, and the developers are passionate about them. It's not just some money thing. It is all about the passion, and the developers care so much. Now, maybe the business side of Nintendo, the people who market this stuff, the people who are going out of their way to try to increase the bottom line every single year, get more money, maybe those people don't have their best interests in mind. But I know the developers do, and they are here to make an experience that we are going to enjoy, and they push themselves every day to do that. I am just still confused why they can't see this is not a big fix. Because in a way, it is a good change. It is on paper a sign that they are listening, that they're trying to improve the experience, that they care about us, that they're trying to make things better. And yet at the same time, it also feels like a slap in the face because it's not actually really fixing anything. It's just making it a little bit more likely for those 3-lap tracks to occur. And that is just very frustrating because it feels like they saw all the backlash, like they saw every single thing that we said, and we were criticizing them, and we were just asking for them to change it back. And yet in response to that, in response to us saying all that, they were like, you know what? Fine, we'll give you a little update. We'll make it better. Here, it's about 10% more often. How do you like that? That's what it feels like a little bit. And I don't think that's their mindset. I don't think they're doing this out of spite, but sometimes it can feel like that. And I'm sure there are people out there that do feel personally slighted by this, that are like, wow, I invested in your console, in your game, in this company, and yet you are treating me like this. You are not giving us the experience that we desire. Why would you not do that? Why would you not give the players what they want when it's easy to do it? It is so easy to give us a mode in which we can do 3-lap tracks online and still have that VR system and just pick from different modes. Or if you didn't want to do that, if you didn't even want to go to the trouble to do all of that, continue how it was before. make it to where it's only intermissions on the map itself, and if you want to do that, people will pick that. But if you pick random, it will always be a 3-lap track. And maybe even make it to where it's 90% of the time you get a 3-lap track, and then 10% of the time random will give you an intermission, just to spice it up a little bit, because I understand Nintendo doesn't want it to be lopsided. They don't want it to be every time you get online, people are always picking random, because what if some people do want to pay the intermissions? I get that, but make it to where it's a little bit more balanced, like it to where it's at least 50-50, and yet you're catering to an audience that is very small. You're catering to a minority there with the people who love the intermissions more than the 3-lap tracks. And I'm not saying there's a majority and minority mindset here. I really don't think they should be developing games with that in mind. I think they should do whatever they can to make all parties happy, because it's gaming, right? This isn't like some law that we're trying to pass here. This is Mario Kart. So let's make it to where the majority of people can get what they want and the minority of people can also get what they want, because there's no reason that we can't. There's no good reason why you can't make it to where everyone is able to get what they want out of this. And Nintendo has ruined the experience for most of the people, and the other people who remain are probably having a good time, maybe because I was playing intermissions intermittently every now and then, like once a week maybe I would hop on the game. But once Donkey Kong came out, I didn't care. I was gone. By Mario Kart, and then I just beat the game, and so I came back to Mario Kart, and there were all the good players again, and there was the fun again. And even though those intermissions would continue to pop up and I would continue to have to play them, just knowing that those 3-lap tracks would come eventually and that these good players were here and that it was fun to play against them and raising my VR levels, I just enjoyed that a lot more. So overall, this is a great update. It is a great way for them to say that they're listening, that they want to improve the experience, and it's a goodwill. It's a move of goodwill, because I'm sure there's going to be Mario Kart World DLC, and we're going to get new characters, probably new courses, new modes. They're going to add a lot of stuff, and it's probably going to be paid. And for the backlash that Nintendo got for pricing this game at $80, and then for them to get even worse backlash almost, for them changing the experience, ruining the online, wow. They needed to make some effort to have goodwill towards us if they at all wanted to charge for more content. Because I am not one of those people that said this game was lacking in content. I think that's ridiculous. This game is full of content. It was worth the money for the people who really enjoyed it. I don't wish it was $80. I really wish it was cheaper than $80. It has no reason to be $80. $70 is perfectly normal for the price market that we have now. Donkey Kong Bonanza is full of content. It's chock full, and it's only $70. So why did they make this game $80? Because they could. Because they knew Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the most successful game on the Nintendo Switch for them by far, and they knew that Mario Kart would continue to sell, so they decided to put it at $80. So that way, when they put it on sale for their usual 15 to 20%, they're still getting even more money. And when they actually get a straight up sale for this game, they're getting way, way more money. And that's unfortunate. It's just straight greed. That's what it is. But it's worth it for people who really enjoy the experience, and we're going to put hundreds of hours into this game, like myself. And so I didn't appreciate the price, but I was never the type of person that was saying, oh, I'm not going to buy it now. Like, it's so frustrating to me when people are criticizing other people for criticizing Nintendo and yet still buying it, because I criticized Nintendo. I did not appreciate this price. I didn't like the $80, but it is what it is, and I know I'm going to buy it, and I was upfront with that. I never tried to convince any of you that I wasn't going to buy it or convince any of you not to buy it. I just said it was frustrating, and it is very frustrating, and it is greedy, and I am not a fan of that. But what am I going to do? I'm not going to do anything about it. I love these games. I have a YouTube channel. I love talking about these games, and I love playing and talking about these games at the same time. So why would I ever not buy this? I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. And so it's frustrating to see people also criticize those same people who are saying that that's not good, but they still buy it anyways, because it's so much more nuanced than that. I cannot come on here and say, okay, don't buy it, I'm not going to buy it, and then all of a sudden I switch up on you. That makes sense. But a lot of people have just been saying this sucks and I don't want to buy it, and yet they go out there and they buy it anyways. But this update does not pertain to that crowd, and that is a topic for another day. So thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. What do you think about this update? Because this is somewhat of a fix, right? It is, but it's not at the same time. It's so small. It moves the needle back towards us just a little bit, but not completely. And that's very frustrating in its own right, but it's good to see any sort of change from Nintendo here. Thank you once again for making it to the end. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe today's video if you enjoyed the content. Click that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload my videos, and consider joining my membership program to really support me as an individual creator and just to make more videos and For you get early access to all of these videos, you get access to a special Discord server, and many, many more perks. Make sure you click on the left side of your screen if you want to see my video talking about Nintendo's options and the way they have made it to where you can dock or not dock and the power of those options. And make sure you click on the right side of your screen if you want to see every single 3D Mario game ranked by me. Number 1 will probably surprise you. Thank you so much again for making it to the end. You have a phenomenal day. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video.